everybody, and welcome to our Strangeland episode. It's really strange that we're talking about this movie, but Brian insisted, for whatever reason. Because reasons. But Brian, why'd you pick this?
So, when I was younger, when I was just a wee lad, maybe 13, I used to listen to, at 11 o'clock at night, the radio station, the Philly rock station, MMR, used to have House of Hair from 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. that Dee Snider was the DJ for. And he used to do 6 Degrees of Dee Snider. Every single time he would get a celebrity that he had to do 6 Degrees from, it seemed like it always ended with, who was in blank with Robert Englund, who was in Strangeland with me. So I was like, I gotta see this. I do gotta say, when I was 13, I thought this movie rocked. I did not. This was not one of those things where it was like, this movie is awful, I'm going to force Matt and Scott to watch it. My memory was it rocked. Rewatching it as an adult, it did not rock.
So the first big thing for me was when I thought of Strangeland, because I haven't seen this since college, easily. I was like, yeah, that's that movie that like nobody famous is in except for Dee Snider. And then I'm sitting there and I'm watching the opening credits and I'm like, Linda Cardellini, Amy Smart.
Yeah, no, like those are my notes. Basically, like baby Linda Cardellini, baby Amy Smart, holy shit, Robert Englund.
Yeah.
To use Robert Englund as his big 6 Degrees connection, like Robert Englund's in this movie for what, like 5 minutes?
Dude, and it seemed like a lot of them were in Adventures of Ford Fairlane. Like, yeah. It seems like a lot of celebrities were in that movie, I guess, because it was always like, was in Adventures with Ford Fairlane with Robert Englund, who was in Strangeland with me. Now, I did say Jade was going to come on, but she's not. But she did say that the acting was atrocious in this movie.
Well, she's not wrong, but she also doesn't watch the kind of classic material that we normally watch. So, you know.
Poor Dee, man. Poor Dee.
Well, he had these long, pointless speeches all up in this movie, and he was not good at delivering any of them in a way that made them make sense.
The whole concept is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's a very silly movie. It's very, very silly. And maybe for Patreon, I might pick this for the next time. Although I don't want to ruin it like I ruined Strangeland, because I thought Strangeland rocked. And I also loved Parental Advisory. And I'm wondering if...
That's going to be real hard to find a copy of.
Really? Okay, then I won't pick it. But I wonder if his acting sucked in that. How did we have it on VHS?
Because I taped it. It was a VH1 made-for-TV movie that aired once.
Oh.
And I just happened to tape it when it was airing. So...
Oh.
Yeah, but Dee Snider played himself. It was about the Parental Advisory sticker court case.
I just remember the one line where it's like, "Are you going to? You're going to speak to the judge's wife like that?" And Dee Snider's like, "No, I'm speaking to someone who happens to be the judge's wife." See how that works? And as a 13-year-old, I was like, "Oh, he told her wrong."
Man, the 90s were a weird time.
I always remember, and this was like an actual, like they recreated this from the actual hearing case, but they were like, what exactly are the CMFs? He goes, they're the crazy motherfuckers. And you hear the whole trial's like, oh my word.
You hear like a jangling because everybody's clutching their pearls, right?
Yeah, exactly. The opening of this movie reminds me of so many experiences in the 90s, minus ever getting invited to a party. Like, just hopping in chat rooms and be like, I like things, please talk to me.
But dude, even in 1998, the intros, so I saw this movie probably in 1999 or 2000. I know I was in high school. It was right when it came out on VHS, or really, really soon after it came out on VHS, because by this time I was fully involved in watching as much mediocre horror as possible. So this was my bread and butter, right? By 1999, I could drive. So I was going to the video store twice a week. You know, and so I watched this really, really soon after it came out on video. Hated it. But I even in 1998, the intro song and scroll is so 1998 that I was like, this is lame. You know, like it was lame when it came out and was trying to be hip.
So for me, it was my friend Laura in college was like, "Hey, come over, let's watch a movie." And I'd never seen it, and she loved Dee Snider. So she was like, "Oh my god, you got to watch it. It's the best." And it was like fine. It was fine for like a late teenager, early 20s Matt Kelly to watch. So when I was working at the video store and we were selling a copy for like $1 or $2, I was like, "Yeah, I'll grab it for $1 or $2."
Wait, did you buy a VHS copy then?
No, it was a DVD because it was
This came out on DVD.
It came out on very limited DVD. I think there's like a commentary track and nothing else.
Dude, does that mean that it's like a collector's item and you have something that's valuable?
Maybe, who knows? But if it's valuable, it's been sitting on a shelf for about 15 years untouched until today. So I talked about this with you guys in the chat a little bit, that I had some thoughts. And the thing that bothers me from this movie is that like the pacing and the story beats in this movie are completely fucking insane, because it does things but then like completely, like it's just padding for time the whole movie. So like they have this whole setup to catch Dee Snider's character, and it's all like a bluff, you know, like they go to the wrong house, and then it's like 5 minutes later they find Dee Snider anyway. Like it doesn't make any sense for that beat to be in that movie if you're literally going to find him just a couple minutes later anyway. And then he goes to prison, and you think that this is going to be like a Clockwork Orange type movie, which would have been interesting, but it's not. He's just like everything that happens in the movie doesn't really connect or make any sense whatsoever. Like it's so frustrating from like a story writing standpoint to watch.
This movie is the epitome of one thing led to another.
Yeah,
that's the whole movie.
Yeah, it's got a lot of yada 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 written in it. Like, it's like, so they show up at the house, but it's not Dee Snider's house. Yada yada yada. They find Dee Snider.
Yeah. Like, yada yada yada. He's cured. Yada yada yada. He's no longer cured.
Yeah, like,
I feel like this is basically one run-on sentence with a lot of and thens.
Yeah, and whoever edited this movie loves crossfade so much because it's every single transition they just crossfaded, and it was the most frustrating thing.
Well, and whoever shot this movie loves extreme close-ups that are way too close to what's happening. I wrote down that, like, this is more of a vanity project to me than anything Rob Zombie's ever produced. Like, because Rob Zombie at least has the sense to keep himself out of his own movie, but, like, Dee Snider's like, I'm going to write a movie, and I'm going to be the star.
Did he write it or produce it?
He wrote, produced, starred, and I think may have had a hand in the editing.
Oh my god.
Dee, I thought he was just a producer. Oh god, Dee. And here's the thing. I will die on this hill, right? Like I think that Rob Zombie's writing is an acquired taste, and some people like it and some people hate it, but he's a good director.
Yeah,
he's a good
that's
director.
The one thing Dee Snider stayed away from in this movie was the directing.
You know, so like his movies are at least done well. They're just made, their story or dialogue may be trash.
Well, and I feel like the problem also with both Dee Snider and Rob Zombie at the end of the day that bums me out is that like they're both dudes that I would probably enjoy having a one-on-one meeting with sometime.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because they're both, like, interesting guys, and they're personable guys, and they're, like, talkative, informative guys. But, man, especially with Dee Snider needs to... I'm glad that this is the only thing he ever did as a writer, because it is bad.
Yeah.
Did you pick up who was on the radio when they were pulling that car out of the lake?
Yeah, Kid Rock, dude.
Yeah!
That was fucking Kid Rock?
Yeah, it was old school Kid Rock playing on the radio. I think it was Fuck Off, featuring Eminem.
That's when I said, so it started off, it was Twisted Sister, it was Marilyn Manson, and I was like, we should do a soundtracking on this. And then Kid Rock happened, and I was like, Scott would hate the soundtracking on this. And then it just went full-on industrial for the rest of the movie, and I was like, Scott would absolutely despise the soundtracking on this.
Yeah, with some Cold Chamber songs.
Wait, what Cold Chamber song was on this?
I forget. I just was looking at the soundtrack list and saw that Cold Chamber had a song in it. But the song that I liked, and I feel embarrassed by how much I liked, was that song by Bile that was playing when they go into the club.
Oh my god, every band that I've ever played with at a shitty club with two singers, oh my god, that scene was some serious, like, PTSD for me, man. Like,
I mean, you got to respect their talent. The lead singer was singing while pulling his face off and not moving his lips at all.
Let's see. So I'm looking at the soundtrack, and you've got a song performed by Dee Snider, not Twisted Sister, Dee Snider.
no, the intro scroll is Dee Snider. It's not Twisted Sister.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was a little bit more 90s rock.
Breathe by Seven Dust.
Ooh, Seven Dust.
A Secret Place by Megadeth. Absent by Snot.
Oh, Snot. Oh, Jesus.
Not Living by Coal Chamber.
I don't know that song.
Where Are You From by Pantera.
Oh my God, they got a fucking Pantera song in this?
If Dee Snider's calling you up about a movie he's doing, they're probably going to say, yeah. Eye for an Eye by Soulfly.
Oh, fuck, it's Soulfly. Oh, God.
Serpent Boy by Head PE. I'm the Man by Nashville Pussy. Marmalade by System of a Down.
Oh, dude, we could have easily done a soundtracking for this just because that is one of my top 5 favorite System of a Down songs ever.
Yeah,
Really?
and then Heroes Are Hard to Find by Twisted Sister. It Was Fuck Off by Kid Rock and Eminem. I'm embarrassed that just hearing it faintly in the background, I was like, oh, that's Fuck Off right there. P&V by Anthrax.
P&V, like penis and vagina.
Yeah, it
Anthrax, I am disappointed in you.
What do you expect from Anthrax, honestly?
Dude, they wrote one of the best thrash records of all time about a Stephen King book that we are now living in. I think that we should give Anthrax a little bit of credit, just not for the song P&V.
But they also wrote I'm the Man, so they're goofy as well.
Oh, yeah, but that's what I like about them. In a world of thrash bands that were way too serious, Anthrax was like, fuck it, we'll do a Beastie Boys song, we don't give a fuck.
Listen, I like Anthrax.
I like their cover of Looking Down the Barrel of a Gun by the Beastie Boys.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, that Bile song that is probably the most prominent song in the entire movie, not on the IMDb list of songs that are in the movie. I just remember it was like, fun girl, shoot, shoot, got the gunner, shoot, shoot, or something like that.
Oh my God. Dude, so...
Oh, it's Pretty Girl on Ecstasy.
Oh, God. That, and they
it was
have,
like being sung by Compressor, if you remember Compressor.
No, but I know who they are immediately by being like, oh, this band Bile was just like this band Compressor.
Compressor wasn't a band. It was like a weird, stupid, late 90s spoof where it was a dude pretending to be like a German industrial artist. His big hit single was Vitamins Are Good. And it was him just explaining what vitamins...
I know that.
Yeah, vitamins are good!
I blame Michael Myers for that, because Dieter was such a huge skit on SNL in the early 90s. The best part about that was Germany's most disturbing videos. Oh, this took a turn for the worse. So in 6th grade, I was at the library and I fell in love with the stupidest fucking book. It was the Best of SNL First 30 Years or something like that.
I have that book because I also fell in love with it at the library, and then my library was doing a library sale and they were selling it for 25 cents.
Oh, yeah, like, that's the best 25 cents you've ever spent. Like fucking Toonsies, the driving cat or whatever.
Oh my God, Toonsies was so funny.
Like, I don't even know. My memory no longer qualifies what I've seen on SNL and what I just know from the book.
So there's one big thing in this movie that I want to talk about, and I think Brian remembers this person. One of my best friends in high school, also named Brian.
Yes, I thought of him the whole movie.
Dude, after high school, got very into suspensions.
No!
It was, oof. And like every once in a while, so I actually bumped into him at a Punchline show in Lancaster. But yeah, in college, he would like go to those warehouses where they just had all the hooks on chains. And I remember hanging out with him one Halloween.
Hanging out?
No, this is one of the nastiest stories. And I apologize, listeners and everybody. So if you're eating or anything, put that down for a quick second. But he hung out with me on a Halloween night. It was a Friday night Halloween. So we were like, oh, dude, we're going to just fucking stay up late. We're going to watch horror movies. This is going to be great. It was like my first Halloween not living at my parents'. I was living in an apartment with some friends. He came over. It was the first time I'd seen him since high school. And he shows up and he's got these 2 giant bandages on his kneecaps. And I'm like,
no.
And I'm like, what's going on there? And he's like, oh, I'll show you. Which is never a good sign. And he rips off the bandages and he's like, I was suspending from my kneecaps and my skin gave away. And I was just like, oh my God. And it was just like literally just his kneecaps filleted. from these. Oh, it was horrendous. So that's all I can think of when I see anybody doing any type of suspension. It's like, why would you do this? It's so gross.
Well, dude, it's because you're trying to see what the shamans see when they die and come back with knowledge. The whole
I don't think that was his drive. I think he just thought it was fun.
Yeah.
No, I'm making fun of Dee Snider here because the conceit of this fucking movie is that he's like shaman of pain. He's like the shittiest Cenobite you've ever seen, and so he's just like, oh, if I have found knowledge in pain, and so will you, Linda Cardellini. And she's like, I'm gonna go beyond Freaks and Geeks after this.
Yeah. And also, just so anyone that wants to die, please seek help. And anyone that really wants to die and wants to torture people along the way, killing yourself is very easy. Just do that. Just kill yourself. You know?
Don't try and suspend yourself and then be mad at the guy who saves your life because like, I was almost there. Basically, he was just mad that the guy stopped him from coming.
Yeah.
There's one scene in this movie that made me laugh out loud.
I know what it is. It's the only note I wrote.
Oh, I know what it is too.
Wait, so why don't you guys say, and I'll see if it syncs up.
It's the dancing woman, right?
No, not for
what?
me.
No, dude, it's the old man fucking his wife.
Oh, no.
That wasn't it either for me.
The old man having a heart attack? No, dude, the wife who's clearly got her throat slit. And it's
and Robert Englund is like, yeah, get in here. I'm losing my heart on.
And it is the most ridiculous, unsexy dance. And he's just like, yeah, baby. It's just like, whoa.
No, for me, it's just like, think about all the things that I love in this movie. It's when like 90s technology is completely off base. Mm-hmm. It's when they change their internet profile and he sees it transition in real time to say winter sports.
Yeah.
Or should I say, cop?
And I love that that's the giveaway, is that they updated their profile.
Yeah. I also love the foreshadowing with Elizabeth Banks when she... Amy Smart. When she it's like, I met some killer guys on there.
Oh, yeah. I love Amy Smart explaining what I am is. But it is oddly prescient when she's like, oh, we'll meet everyone we date online eventually because welcome to 2020. Well, welcome to 2019. No one's having sex now unless you're already married and not having sex.
Yeah.
Or, engaged and not having sex. But
right now there's a small fraction of humans that had just recently moved in with a girl, or they spend a lot of nights at each other's house and they're on quarantine and they're having sex all day. But it is a very, very small percentage. You're either not living with someone because you're single, or you're living with someone, but sex has just been off the table for years now.
Dude, I gotta get real with you. It's not about sex being off the table for years. It's about the fact that it's really hard to take your mind off of a global fucking pandemic to get a boner.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand these people who are like, oh yeah, let's bang 4 times today, honey. I'm like, have you thought about how many people are dying?
I know. Jade had to go to the post office yesterday. And she came back and she was like being cute and like leaned over my shoulder while I was working, and I told her to get the hell away from me.
You were like, did you wash your hands?
She did. She sanitized, but her hands, that's it. You covered a small fraction of your body to make sure they're clean, and then you're just rubbing your Rona shirt all over my shoulder.
This is not my fetish.
Well, this is a pretty solid episode, I would say. Anybody have anything else they need to talk about Strangeland, or should we move into them double features that are so...
I have one question.
I have nothing to talk about because of your bonus episode.
I have one question. When did Captain Howdy have time to put the piercings back in all of his body holes? That if he was in the slammer for 4 years, I'm assuming most of those holes would have closed up.
Yes.
I mean, you said he was a Cenobite, so I assume that they just like foomped out of his face.
That's the best sound effect for like what it would sound like when a piercing comes out of your subcutaneous flesh. But the funniest thing is that even when I was in high school watching this, I was like, these are some stupid tattoos and some stupid fucking piercings. And the funniest thing is that, like, if you were really hardcore, you would have tattooed your eyelid too. There wouldn't be a black, you wouldn't look like the dog Spot, like from the commercials in the 90s or whatever.
I have another question. So Freaks and Geeks met this guy online. She drove her car to his house.
No. Her friend
Tiana,
who had a heart condition, she drove.
Okay, so they're roughly the same age. He gets caught. He goes to jail for 4 years. He gets out, and then he gets her out of school. So what grade is she in?
Oh, that's a good question.
That's what I want to know.
I might have fast forwarded through that part. I don't remember him getting her out of class, but yeah.
That's how he kidnapped her the second time.
Could it have been a college class, or was it definitely a high school class?
What dad has to pull you out of school in college? You just don't go.
Well, no, but like you might already be at class, and like if there's like a death in the family or something, like, hey, I'm coming to get you.
Yeah, I guess college could be it.
She could be taking public transportation to school.
Yeah.
There's ways.
Yeah. You know what? I disregard.
I retract that.
Yeah, disregard.
Matt's not going to edit it out, though.
No.
Yeah, I'm like, I got him sounding stupid. I'm going to keep it.
Oh, yeah. Man, this is the first time in forever.
Now we're going to get a 3-star review. Entertaining, but the way they don't understand how college works makes me want to scream at my radio.
Fucking radio.
Yeah, that's right. Was it Crazed Star Wars fan? We saw your review.
Yeah, and you know what? Chewbacca sucks.
Crazed Star Wars fanboy saying that we sound good and are worth a listen, but you'll find yourself screaming at your phone when they don't even know fairly common knowledge about horror. We've been doing this for 250 fucking episodes. I'm sorry that sometimes things slip our mind.
Yeah, I mean, we're also not in the business. Like you listen to Shockwaves and they're like, oh, so-and-so, and they like snap their fingers and they know every person from every giallo from 1973, and I'm like, how? But it's because they're in the business.
But the flip side is I've yelled at my phone at Shockwaves when they don't know shit too. So like, that's everybody. Leave us alone. Anyway, double features. Brian, what's your double feature?
Ooh, my double feature would be Trick or Treat.
All right.
Oh, because of it having Ozzy Osbourne and Gene Simmons in it?
Yeah, just the only thing I think would honestly line up. And honestly, like, Strangeland was a letdown, and part of the reason that I did force you guys for Strangeland is because you selfishly watched Trick or Treat before I was on the show.
Yeah, how dare we?
Because I think that nostalgia would hold up, but I think that 13.
Oh, it does.
That'd be a great double feature.
So I'll do for my double feature, basically just tying right back to that Bile scene, made me nostalgic for movies. Actually, you know what?
Dude, I'm going to scream at the fucking radio.
Go first, because I think I may have just changed mine in real time. Go first.
Okay, well, that is the part that part is the most fun part in this movie, and I don't hate Strangeland. I just think that it's fucking stupid, Like, I wasn't like pulling my hair out like when we watched Bloody Murder 2, Closing Camp, Brian. This movie wasn't that fucking bad, Like, in the grand scheme of horror movie night, this is very middle of the road for me. But that scene, I was gonna go with American Werewolf in Paris.
So that was what I was thinking about. So thank
Nice.
you. So you took that. I'm gonna go with something even more absurd. Then a bunch of cops, they're showing up. There's a bio concert going on, but they have to go past the crowd in order to get some information. And I was like, this scene seems like something I've seen before. Like when Ace Ventura goes to a Cannibal Corpse show. So I'm going to double feature this with Ace Ventura, Pet Detective.
Man, that would save the night.
Yeah. Is Dr. Zeke here? Thank you. The guy's just headbanging.
I wonder if that movie holds up, because I have not watched it in 15 or 20 years.
There's some stuff that definitely hasn't aged well. I know a lot of people bring up the way that he reacts when realizing he's
yeah, it's so transphobic. I forgot. Yeah.
But beyond that, the jokes, when I last watched it, I'm like, man, Jim Carrey in the 90s, and I think that's why everyone is so in love with his performance in Sonic the Hedgehog. Is like,
did you saw it, right?
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I mean, it's great because of him. It's him back in that like Ace Ventura Mask era Jim Carrey of just like going balls to the wall, like shameless goofiness. All right, so hop on over to the Patreon page. You can hear us talking about Twisted Sister. I can't imagine why we would talk about Twisted Sister as a bonus discussion to Strangeland. But before we get into that, instead of our normal what did we watch this week, we're just going to talk about Tiger King for a little bit.
If you've been living under a rock and have not watched it, you probably know what happens because of all the fucking memes.
I was going to say, Scott, you talk about how people can get a boner during a global pandemic. I think the secret is distracting themselves with Tiger King for 5 hours and then looking at memes all day online.
I don't know if that gives anybody a boner, but it's an entertainment.
It's a humor-induced boner.
Which is also what, you'd get if you tried to have sex with Brian.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He tells you a joke, and then you're like, ooh. Yeah, got a little
I was actually just saying that he's so bad at sex that you'd have to laugh at it.
No, I said that the only thing that makes him attractive is his humor.
I thought that was a compliment at first.
Nope.
No, Brian, who are we? No, I went for the what's the dick vein?
I don't know, the penis. So Scott and Brian, you guys have seen this longer than I have. I just saw it a couple days ago before we hit record. Now it's been, 2-3 weeks? Mm-hmm. Has the enjoyment of Tiger King faded, or has it only grown stronger?
I think it's a great documentary. I think it does a great job at showing the insanity and the ego on every person. Like the whole documentary is really focused around like primarily three people that think that the industry that they're in is fucked up, but they're the only one doing it right.
Yeah, and they're not.
Yeah, and it's insane that the person who's doing it the best is a drug lord that killed people, that was only in it for like 5 minutes, but he seemed to be doing it the best. The only thing I would really say to anyone is I understand the when you feel like you've missed something, so you're anti, and there's a lot of people that are like, I haven't watched Tiger King and I never will because it's already being overhyped. There's so many layers to this that I assure you, no matter how much shit you've seen, everything isn't spoiled, and it's worth a watch.
I feel like it's actually, I haven't done this yet, but I feel like it's something that's actually worth a second viewing, because I'm sure that there is, like I was talking about the pacing. So here's the thing for me. Last weekend, I watched both seasons of Making a Murderer in a row, and then following it up with Tiger King. Tiger King is such a better documentary in my mind, because Making a Murderer is 20-hour-plus long episodes that the story could have easily been told in 2 seasons of 4 to 5 episodes. Tiger King gets so much information and so much history in 6 compact 45-minute episodes. And while they're telling all of this story, what I love is that they never really reveal the end game. It's always, the story is so insane from start to finish that you never have to like hype up what happens at the end to keep people invested. There's so many great cliffhanger moments at the end of every episode that just lead in a very narrative way down the trail without playing its card early. And that to me is so impressive. That has everything to do with having the perfect subjects and the perfect crazy story to keep people invested.
That, and look at the first episode of Tiger King. One of the reasons that knew that it was set to be a great documentary is, and I'm going to shit on Making a Murderer because I don't really like it, but Tiger King was about the reptile trade. And he followed the story with his camera. He started making a documentary about selling poisonous snakes and saw that people were trading lions and tigers, and he followed that. And Making a Murderer 100% feels like whoever made this documentary had a story that they wanted to tell, and they forced their story and they forced the narrative to go to their story, where Tiger King just looked like the camera just followed the story. And it didn't seem like it was forced to tell anything. And everyone, it's a good documentary when everyone besides the egotistical maniac despises it, right? Like every subject hates it. The person who kind of got portrayed the worst besides Carol Baskin is like, this is great.
You know, I think it's a good documentary, but I also feel like, and I agree that the documentarians that put it together are just world class. But at the same time, I feel like it's a very it's hard for me because everyone in it is awful.
Yeah,
everyone is a fucking scumbag.
But I think that that's what, in a weird way, makes it enjoyable for me to watch, is that it's like, oh, it's going to end badly for all of these people, and I don't feel the least bit upset about it.
Oh, okay. This is the weirdest year ever, dudes. I think I want to watch this Crackheads documentary. That's a brand new sentence. They're trash people, and people like watching trashy reality TV and trashy people and documentaries and stuff because it makes them feel less trashy. Like they're like, oh my God, thank goodness that I'm not as much of a train wreck as this person, as much as like anybody on Jersey Shore or anybody on Vanderpump Rules or blah, blah, blah. But for me, it just stresses me the fuck out because I'm like, these people are out there and they're probably reproducing.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. Tune in next week because it's supposed to be prom season, and coronavirus or not, we're going to have a goddamn prom over here at Horror Movie Night. So tune in and see what our prom movie is this year.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network. You're listening to the Geekscape Network.